Well, can an economy hooked on mining make the switch to housing? The Reserve Bank certainly hopes so, as it pins its hopes on a resurgent construction sector. The good news is Australia has a chronic housing shortage and record low rates. But high costs, low investment and a tangle of red tape are bad news for a quick recovery. Here's finance correspondent Philip Lasker.
Sydney-based home builder Cape Cod is grateful to still be in business, but its boss, Robert Moorman, has a message for a government hoping home building will take up the slack as the mining sector cools.
I think they've got a lot of work to do to actually make that happen.
The industry's hardly booming, but these builders are being stifled by skill shortages, compliance costs and banks reluctant to lend.
The banks are controlling what's happening, even though interest rates are low.
Others say the blame lies with those responsible for pricing new homes out of existence.
I think the villains are really local and state governments. Around 45% of all their tax revenue now comes from property, and non-stamp duty property taxes have been growing at 10% per annum since 2002, way in excess of house price growth.
Australia's property transaction costs are amongst the highest in the developed world, representing almost 14% of a property's value. Local and state governments are accused of price gouging developers to build infrastructure.
What they've often tended to do, or unfortunately often tended to do, is to set those charges at levels that are unreasonable, in some cases at levels that are really no more than a tax on new development.
Investment in housing has been flat for a decade. The OECD says costs, taxes and planning regulations are behind Australia's chronic housing shortage. A comparable country like Canada, which also has a growing population, is investing much more in housing.
Given the population growth, affordability is very low in Australia, and that's of course a concern.
150,000 homes are being built each year, a shortfall of around 50,000, given Australia's population is expected to reach 36 million by 2050.
There is regularly a shortage, and the gap is widening every year.
With housing investment stagnating, lower interest rates aren't the answer for many hopeful home buyers.
Demand really increased as interest rates hit historical lows, and that's just taken the price point way past the opportunity for those moderate income households.
So trends like this don't look like reversing. Home ownership in the youngest age group, 25 to 34-year-olds, is falling more rapidly than other age groups. Some say government assistance for building and renting low-cost housing would help ease pressures in pricier markets. Others want to free up more money for potential homeowners or builders by tapping the $1.4 trillion in superannuation money.
Way too much capital, as many experts have previously noted, is being allocated to risky Australian shares and global shares. And very little superannuation money is being invested in fixed income and credit that is used to fund infrastructure projects and residential property.
The workers at Cape Cod would certainly like to see some of that money.